Okay, next up is Kevin Harvick. He drives the number 29 Budweiser Folds of Honor Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. And Kevin is 6th in points right now. And Kevin, just talk about maybe how the car is running, yesterday's test, and what you anticipate out there today, and then again on Sunday.
Yeah, obviously, the speeds are way up, compared to a lot of the racetracks that we race at. Our car ran good yesterday. We had a few tire issues on 3 of the 4 tires in the long run that we had, so that's really our only concern. It's really not about the speed of the car anymore or how it handles. It's really about making the tires survive. So that's our biggest goal going forward.
Questions now. We'll take them. Jim Noble, go ahead.
Jim Noble, ESPN. Could you elaborate a little bit more on the tire issues? I know Mark was talking about blistering yesterday. Did you have similar issues with yours?
Yeah, they were blisters, mainly on the left side tires, mostly more on the left front than the left rear. So, and along with the right rear. So it's that's really our biggest concern right now. Is we've seen several of those situations through the job. Through the garage. I don't know that many people ran enough laps to really get to the blistering point. So it's either going to come down to the racetrack getting more rubber on it and the speed slowing down, or it's just going to come down to you slowing down and managing a pace to keep the tires on the car.
And one quick follow-up, if I could. Is there something magical about turning a lap and looking at a sheet and seeing that you guys are over 200 miles per hour? For you, is that kind of a big deal?
I don't even look at the speed. To be honest with you, it's really all about time for us. So it's just a matter of, how fast that computes to. So I saw that it was fast speed-wise, but it's really all relative to what we do, and the track's really wide, and after you get past about the first 5 minutes of practice, you just kind of settle into being comfortable with whatever environment you're in on that particular weekend, whether it's 200 plus here or shifting and hitting your marks next week at the road course. It's just a matter of whatever that environment is. That's what you settle into. It's just kind of like you guys showing up and hooking your computer up in here. It's just what you do on a weekly basis.
Next question for Kevin. Who's got one? Bob, and then Brian.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. Kenseth leads the points, and he's known for his consistency. So when you see him running well at this point of year, do you think of him as a threat for the championship, or after what Tony does last year, do you not even look at what anybody's doing now as far as who might contend?
Yeah, I think you just look at the guys that you wind up making the chase, and you look at any of them as people that can be a threat to win the championship. I think we've, last year we led the points sporadically, and year before we led it for most of the season, and didn't all work out for us. So I like where our cars have been performing. We haven't capitalized on any of the stuff that we've really done this year. So hopefully, by the time it rolls around chase time, we can still be in it, and have everything flowing the way that we like it.
Go ahead, Brian. Mike. Thank you.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. The last couple of weeks we've had quite a bit of practice and testing. Would you like to see that more of a return to testing, especially next year?
Is that no?
That's a hell no.
That's a hell no.
No. I think if it was, obviously we test as teams, but we don't need more. If it was the testing that we've already done allowed at the particular racetracks that we raced at, that would be great. But to do the testing that we do and then add in more testing, it's really not about me or Shane. It's really about the guys on the team. Just because this month, they went from Pocono. They had to be there Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. They came here Wednesday night. We worked, Sunday night when they got home, Monday, Tuesday in the shop. We have to be, we're doing some road course testing next week and have to be in Colorado on Tuesday morning. So, those are the guys that I feel bad for, and I'll do whatever. I'll test. I can test every week if that's what they want me to do, but it's really not productive for us in the shop and requires a tremendous amount more people So you're talking about the price goes up. But I think that if there were, like we used to have it, 3 to 5, 7, whatever that number may be, that NASCAR allows us, it would keep us from going to Nashville's and the places that we go test that you try to make a guess. You'd get much better information if you could go to the right racetracks for sure. But not more. We don't need more.
Let's come down here to Lee.
Why Colorado? I mean,
Hell, I have no idea.
I mean, what can you take there that you can, and it seems so far away from some of the other alternatives you would have?
I think we're just looking for a better alternative. I think that's the key, is finding an alternative that is closer to what we're going to see in Sonoma. And it's just something different. And in the end, it's really not about the car. It's really about getting me in a rhythm and getting everybody in a road course frame of mind. So I know nothing about the particular track that we're going to. Don't even know what part of the state it's in. So they chose it, and we'll show up and see how it works out. So regardless, as long as you're shifting gears and being able to stomp on a brake pedal, for me it's great to get in a rhythm the week of the race.
Claire?
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Yesterday I was walking through the garage and a guy rolled by and said, "What are you going to do about the tires? What are you finding out?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "They're blistering. It's terrible. I didn't tell you this." Then I went through the garage and asked a lot of people, and some of the people said, "Well, the blistering was there, but it's indicative of a new track surface or the first laps you put on, and that would settle down." Can you put it in perspective even more than you did? Is it an issue? Is it something that would be indicative of coming to a repave, or is it more than that?
Well, I think I can put it in a pretty easy perspective. I think we didn't blister any tires last week, and it was a brand new repave. So, it's just something that you just never know when you get to a new racetrack how fast everybody's going to run. That's really the hardest thing that Goodyear has and has to deal with is when you come to a new racetrack and you come to test, a couple months before the race, and you try to do the best job that you can to get the speeds where they need to be. I think yesterday we ran a second faster than what they ran at the test, and it's probably, I think they tested and it was 40 or 50 degrees up here. It's going to be 90. So I mean, you're looking at 40-degree swing of whatever the high was that day to what we're going to race in. So that's virtually an impossible job until you get on a racetrack. And a lot of times you see these problems, and you get in a race and the pace slows down like it did last week. We ran a second slower than I really thought we would run, and probably a second and a half slower than what we ran in race trim and practice. So that takes care of a lot of the problems. And now from yesterday, the teams have on their minds that we need to take care of the tires. So it tends to be a little less aggressive from setup-wise. So that's probably good that it happened yesterday and didn't just pop up on a day like today and you don't have any more practice. So I think that's really why we come to these things a day early to see they're going to be new problems, new challenges, and that's the benefit of coming in a day early.
Worry about it, knowing how fast you're going? Is that in your mind? Obviously,
You go out and you'll know where you are by the time practice is over today.
Far back right corner, Marty Smith.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Kevin, the 31 team perplexes me a bit. In an era of such open book information sharing among organizations and cars being built on the same floor, how is one team so much better than the other ones?
I don't think they've been as bad as the results have shown. It's just like, they got off to a slow start for sure. But I think as you look at the last few weeks, they've run a lot better, and that's the hard part. I mean, we redid everything at the beginning of the year, and I think myself and Shane just had the luxury of knowing each other and working together before, and that got us going a little bit quicker. It still didn't come off as we would have all as quick as we would have all liked to, but as it's progressed, the performance has been pretty good. We've made a number of mistakes, and I think it's just taken those guys a little bit longer just to get everything rolling. And I don't think that the last few weeks have been that bad for him. I think last week he was sitting 8th or 9th, and I don't even remember what happened. It seems like the weeks have run together, but they just got to keep working at it.
Let's come back here to the middle. Patrick. I'm sorry, David had one. David and then Patrick.
Yeah, David Newton, ESPN.com. You hear fans talk all the time about they miss the days of when there was a little aspect of danger out on the track. Do these speeds, with tires blistering and anything, does that bring back that to the sport a little bit?
Sometimes you just want to slap them, don't you? I mean, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just what I mean. Do you want to? Do they want to see it's just a matter of what you want to see. You know, regardless of what you do, whether it's 190 or 215, it's still pretty darn dangerous no matter what you do. But you know, it's just one of those things where I've learned a long time ago that you're going to have a group of people that are happy and a group of people that are never happy, and you do your own thing, and you let the suits of the world try to figure out what's right and what's wrong for the sport.
Patrick?
Patrick Libby, NASCAR Productions, right here in the middle. Kevin, next week we're going into Sonoma. You've been pretty solid there the last 2 years. Is there anything you can attribute to that, and can you just talk about Sonoma in general?
Yeah, I really enjoy the road course stuff. It's been you know, something that we only get to do a couple times a year on the Cup side, so we've been fortunate to be able to put effort into our cars and preparation time to be able to go there and be competitive. So it'd be nice to get the first win on that particular track in the Cup Series. It's always fun to win in your home state, as we got to do last year in California, at California Speedway. So it'd be nice to check that one off the list, and always a lot of family and friends, and I really enjoy going out there and spending a few days.
Any more questions for Kevin? Lee? Right here.
Just to clarify things, and not to harp on a subject which is really sensitive out in the garage, but there seems to be a false sense of security on the outside looking in because of all the safety innovations. Can you explain why what you do takes such precision, and why it is so dangerous for the people who have perhaps thought that, it's not what it once was? I mean, can you kind of explain to them a situation and what can happen in a split second, so they realize that it is, we're seeing the same thing that we've watched, for 50 years, even at a higher rate of speed, with cars that are, 25 cars now have an opportunity to win on a Sunday as opposed to 2 or 3. You guys going door to door, et cetera, et cetera. So, there is, because nobody knows that better than you, the guy sitting in the cockpit.
Yeah, we'll just use the rich kid syndrome as an example. I mean, you see a lot of guys that sit back and watch it on TV, and their kids want to come in and be race car drivers, and they come in and you never even hear about them, see them, and it's just not something that you come in and that money can buy. It's one of those things where you have to, for me, I grew up from the time I was 5 years old until I was at this point in my life, and you take all those lessons and you go out and you take your experience on the racetrack and you perform. You have a pretty tight, small group of guys that can go out and put this type of stuff, the fears of the sport and the fears of the danger, or whatever you would put that into, and you take it all and you go out and you make it. I guess it looks easy. From a television perspective, but you don't see the average Joe, or Montoya is really the only one that's come from an open wheel background that's even been close to competitive, and you look at what those guys do, and it'd probably be hard for us to go over there and do what they do. So it's a tough sport, but I think it's become so precise in the fact that you have engineers and you have drivers that have done it for a long time, and the cars drive so much better than what they used to. It's not easier. It's more refined, and it's more there's more time and effort put into every piece of everything that happens. So it's not something that anybody can show up and do, and I think that's been proven for years as you've gone into a lot of different scenarios, whether it be open wheel guys, the rich kids, whatever it may be. Most of them aren't competitive.
Let's go over here to the far side, please, sir. We'll take another question.
Kevin, I'm just wondering if you've heard from your buddy Jeff Carter since he won the Stanley Cup, and from your perspective, what was it like to see a good friend of yours reach the pinnacle of his sport?
Yeah, we've talked to him, a few times throughout the playoffs, and been to several games throughout the playoffs, and just to see his enthusiasm and excitement, and when you get to a professional level, it's just like the Lee's last question. I mean, at whether they make hockey look easy, or we make racing look easy, or whatever the case may be. When you're involved in something your whole life, and you reach the thing that you've dreamed about from being a kid, and you're able to achieve that goal, it's just something that most people don't get to. They visualize it, but they don't get to be a part of it and experience it like they did. So it was exciting to see from getting kicked out at Philly and going through his Columbus stuff, and to be able to come back and win the Stanley Cup, is something that's pretty neat. So he achieved the top honor in his sport, and it's fun to be able to have somebody that you call a friend to be able to achieve that, and watch his excitement throughout the whole thing.
Kevin, thanks for coming in, and certainly good luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.